Greetings and welcome to day 10 of our 21-day personal leadership retreat. I am your facilitator, Iku Olokbo. This retreat is organized by our Family Care Foundation, a family-led non-governmental organization which is dedicated to making sure that the family stays integrated, stays connected, and there's intimacy, there's love, and all the energies are balanced in the family for individuals, communities, and families to be well informed and well prepared for the world that we have today. Today we are talking about how to embody the elements and attributes of Mars. Today being Tuesday, day 10 of the 21-day retreat. So Mars basically talks about defense, protection, and boundary. So how can we embody the qualities of Mars? First and foremost, you have to be very proactive. You have to be assertive. I believe this is a common characteristic that every Nigerian is gifted with, so I can't emphasize that enough. Be assertive. Get involved. Stand up and do something. Okay? Don't just sit back. Mars has to do with taking actions. So the very first way you can embody the Martian attribute is to stand up and take action. Secondly, another way of embodying Mars is to how deeply you are connected to, or how deeply you are passionate about your core value. You will instinctively develop how to rise up to defend your core value. So that comes in naturally depending on how passionate you are about your dreams. Sometimes when you have a dream and you are not passionate about it, and when you see people talk down about it, or they discourage you, or they say something nasty about it, you don't know what to do. You don't know how to respond. You don't know what to say, because your level of passion concerning that goal that you are talking about is very low. I'll give you an example. Sometimes some persons, let's start from the level of marriage, family. If you're building a family and you're very proud of your family, you can't watch other persons hurt your family members. You can't watch your family members go through certain things. But if you are not if it's not your core value to hold your family together, to make your family strong, to grow your family, you would be very laid back and relaxed about issues popping up in your family, your needs and all that. Also in your relationship, if you don't take your spouse seriously, if they are not part of your son, your core value, then when it comes to defending their integrity, when it comes to protecting them, you'll be reluctant about it. And also your business, if you're not very passionate about what you're doing, the moment you begin to meet difficulties, you tend to not do anything at all. Okay, so Mars has to do with creating boundaries, has to do with protection, has to do with defense. So Mars is your armed forces, sort of, in the light of the seven. So if on Sunday when we talked about your core value, you rise up, your Martian value now rise up to defend your core value. So that's what we are saying. So first of all, we suggested that you have to be assertive. You have to stand up and do something. Don't just sit back. Mars is action driven. Don't just sit back, get up. So if you have a dream, for instance, for this 2026, and you have always told people about it, and maybe they discourage you, or they don't have that same vision you're having because the sun is inside of you and you alone can see it until you express it and the world sees it and it rises. That's when you get the applause, the glory, and all that comes with it. So if you're very passionate about it and you've been talking about it, 2026 is a good enough time for you to rise up and defend it by taking actions. Okay, so if you're very passionate about your family, let it not just be in words. Let it be, let it show in your action. Let it show in your action. Okay, so that's one of the ways you can embody Mars. Another way is to choose your actions wisely. Okay, because you see, sometimes when people take actions, that action negatively affects their core value. For instance, in marriages, when couples go out and they cheat on each other, or maybe they go out and they report, maybe you find your spouse very offensive in certain ways, you go out and you badmouth her, or you badmouth him, or you go out and cheat, or you go out and do something that is against your family. You are not embodying your Martian attributes, because Mars has to do with the protection, setting boundaries, and defending your core value. So if your family is your core value, if your person, your identity is your core value, there are certain things you would not do to uphold that identity. So when people talk about you sacrifice, the reason why soldiers, they go to war and sacrifice for the country, they sacrifice their life, is because they are passionate about their country. That is why January 15th, Nigeria, celebrates all those who have given their life in service of the country. It was called, January 15th is Armed Forces Remembrance and Celebration Day. So such patriots are celebrated because they are passionate, they are patriotic. Even though, of course, some persons may join the armed forces because of salary or anything, that would not be recorded against them, okay? Because they shed their blood. It's that serious. So to protect your business, to protect your identity, to protect your family, you have to be passionate enough. Your core value you have to be passionate about your core value enough to sacrifice for the well-being of whatever it is that your core value is. So that has to do with your action. So first of all, we say you have to be assertive, you have to take action. Secondly, we say you have to mind the action you take. Okay, and thirdly, we say you have to be passionate about your core value. It is your passion that will drive those actions instinctively. So for today, these are the how we can embody the Martian core value. So as we step into this day, I would encourage you to look at the things that you ought to do to sort of put your actions where your words have been, and to protect what you think is valuable, your family, to protect your business, protect your identity, because you have these attributes in you for that purpose, for that reason. Okay, so there is no country on earth, even Switzerland have an armed forces for parades at least. So everything in nature needs protection. Things like camouflage, you see a rose flower, it has thorns. Okay, the thorns are what it uses to protect itself. You see some plants in the forest, they are poisonous. Okay, because they don't, if their leaf is sweet, maybe they get eaten easily and all that. You see a caterpillar, because it's very fragile, the hair on its body are very, very poisonous, because at that stage of development into a butterfly, it's very fragile. So poison, camouflage, and all these things, these are Martian attributes: to set boundaries, to be assertive, to protect, and to defend. So as we step into this day, we hope you would practice how to embody the attributes of Mars and defend your core value to the later. Thank you very much for spending this time with us. Thank you for all the young persons you continue to invite and share this video with. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much you have encouraged us, and we will take our time much later to thank you personally. Thank you, and have a lovely day ahead.